So we're here to answer the question, how much does modern era Yu-Gi-Oh cost? Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button, literally, so we can climb up the 110,000 ladder here. So out of full curiosity today, I asked myself the question, I always hear people go, modern era Yu-Gi-Oh, Robbie, cost $1,000, to play the best deck in lowest rarity, actually. So I went over to TCG Player here, and this was the total I ended up with to build one of the many sprite lists that I've seen. Now, this build, as you'll also see here, did not have talents in it, but we do have anti-spells and some of your more standardized hand traps. Now, to answer the question, yes, I understand that some of these cards are up on the reprint blog. You know, those anti-spell fragrances. To be honest with you, the anti-spells were only like, I think, $250 each when I added them in. Obviously, like, your most expensive cards are literally the Sprite Blues Access Code Talker. Totally Awesome's not even that bad in terms of price for the rare, but you can clearly see, like, obviously your higher value cards. But the thing that costs the most within this deck here, actually, surprisingly, is the staple part of it. Now, when we look at modern era Yu-Gi-Oh, you will always hear the same phrase. You know, like, the core itself might be cheap. I mean, heck, man, a sprite core itself, elves, let's say, are $90, like $89, $88 afterwards. But when you look at, like, a full sprite core, we'll put it at, what, $300, $310, just for a sprite core itself. Maybe $320, $330, but that just realistic approaches here in terms of things. So once you get that hammer out of the way, you're like, oh, okay, then you look at the extra deck, you're like, Access Code Talker. Where does the rest of our value come from here? Well, I hate to tell you this, but hand traps aren't cheap right now. I understand that things like Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring might be up for a reprint here, which is a very good thing. We need it. You know, Nibiru's cost a lot of money, but one of the things that caught my generalized interest when I was putting this together was the cost of DD Crow right now. Now, I don't know if you guys pay attention, but back in the day, crows were nothing. And I sincerely mean that. They were $2 to $3 max. The lowest DD Crows I could find, I'm just re-scrolling here as I'm making this video to confirm this, the lowest Crows available right now are about $10 to $11 a piece across all rarities. That's $30 frickin' dollars in DD Crows. All right, like, that alone amazes me. And then, of course, like I said, Ash Blossoms are going to cost you $24 to $25. Thankfully, they're up for the reprints here. You can shave off, $5, $6 on the anti-spell fragrances if you wait that week. But where else does value come from? Access Code Talker, minimum $60. All right, when you look at, like, the staple-esque side of Yu-Gi-Oh, this is why when we talk about the modern prices of Yu-Gi-Oh, when we look at these sorts of things, is it will always be the staples. It's those cards that you can move from deck to deck to deck that pretty much will always cost you, the large amount of money. But the cool thing about those staples is once you have them, you don't need to buy them again, unless you're like me and you're like, oh, I want to have Eldritch built, I want to have Striker built, and I want to have all this, and then you got to go through the trouble of getting all the staples in the world. That's where things start to become a problem, is when you start building these multiple decks. But if you're a more laid back player, you have all your staples you're taking care of. You set up on the current thing and you look at Sprite and you're like, oh, okay, Sprite Core, I got to spend, what, like $300? Tier Elements is going to run you about, what is it, $85 per field spell. You're looking at what, like $250, $260. Reno Hearts are $20, and then whatever else the rest of the deck runs you. Same thing. It's literally in the $300 to $340 price range in order to get it. It's actually kind of interesting because, like, out of both of these particular decks, they both run, the same price. But one of these decks, obviously, I think has a longer term value in terms of, your overall value tree between tier elements and whatnot. So what's the purpose of this video? I wanted to chime in on the stigmata, God, I'm sounding like Yu-Gi-Oh cards here. The stigma that modern era Yu-Gi-Oh is expensive, because it is yes and no. The reason why I say it's not entirely crazy to me as a player, and this just might be because I've been here forever, but once you, I guess the big thing now is like hand traps will be the thing that will run you the craziest amount of money. Like there's literally no ifs or ands or buts about that. Like we all kind of unanimously agree that those staple era cards are it. But once you have those staples and whatever rarity, like that's where honestly you might want to consider starting if you're looking at Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole now, is just focusing in on getting those cards that you deem staples and going, oh, okay, well, once I've acquired these now, then we can set in here and start the next process of getting deck cores. I can definitely tell you, like just going to regionals and things, just trading with players, one of the biggest questions is always, hey, do you have any like deck cores that you want to trade? You know, you'll see people out here that'll look at like some of the crazier things, like Eldritch isn't that crazy of a pickup, but people will typically go around and ask for that. They'll even ask for things out of the blue, like the Neptifist Ritual deck. All sorts of really like weird things that are very cheap in terms of trading. You know, something you could trade a $20 card for in order just to go home and be like, cool, you know, I can play around with this deck very casually, you know, or like that's the cool thing about trading. Little subtopic here. It helps you reduce the cost of things. Weird, right? If you happen to pull like an OTS ulti or something, or you know, you go to a regional, your entry packs are busted, and you pull, you know, like a Starlight. Trust me, these outliers happen, and I love to see it. I always love when, you know, somebody that doesn't necessarily have like the best deck in the world gets the chance to pull something worth crazy money, and then they're like, oh, okay, cool, well, I'm gonna go get rid of this, I'm gonna turn it into, you know, the stuff I want. 95% of the time, it's usually a good, successful story, and you get the chance to see people very, very happy. It's the good thing about those things. Remember, the random gacha system does reward some people. Unfortunately, it might not be you at the end of the day, but it's just that. So, focusing in on those key staples is that. Now, as we go forward here, will this format maintain its current pricing? Well, here's the thing. It's really just tier elements and sprite that are the big expensive things. You've got Mathmex running around. I mean, you can pick up an Eldritch Core. The skill drain is going to be the most expensive thing. And then, like, X-Straps. Okay. That's not that crazy, man. Like, you see, and like, you usually see, like, the top-end format here, where obviously the best meta decks will always be the most expensive. That's just how Yu-Gi-Oh! Works, ladies and gentlemen. I shouldn't have to tell you. The players want to spend money to play the best deck in the room. Weird. It's almost like that's how that works, you know? You're hitting into reprint season right now, where, you know, these staples get the chance to possibly be up on the reprint block here, where you can shave off immense value from these decks. Heck, if Ash Blossom, fingers crossed, becomes a $5 card, congratulations, you just shaved, what, $75 off of this? Any amount of staple cards within a deck that you can pick up shaves off immediate value off of the total price of things. So here's the thing. The reprint season's a good thing for the game. Modern era Yu-Gi-Oh! Isn't quite too user-friendly in terms of the secondary market value. We typically know this. But once again, there's always alternatives out there. You don't have to play Sprite. Alright, you can build to beat Sprite. Heck, Dark Ruler no more exist. You can't afford Ultimate Slayers, that's fine. At least you got a $3 alternative available to you, man. Like, that's why I don't understand. Like, players get really mad because they can't have one card, and I understand that not all things are fair. I get that, alright? I understand. The way things are, though, there are budget options, alright? They exist, alright? And it blows my mind that, you know, instead of playing these budget options, they get all upset. I guess I understand why certain players want to quit this game, but, you know, I've been a rogue player for years at this point in time, and you bet your butt that once I get Runic here in a week, we're going to town. Alright, so just my 2 cents in the game right now. So, Yu-Gi-Oh! Expensive, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Not expensive because of the deck core. Yu-Gi-Oh! Expensive because of them hand traps. So I just figured we'd go ahead and show some relatively interesting numbers here, just to kind of give people a little bit of an interesting part of this. Remember, talents are $30 a piece. Ultimate Slayer's like $45 a piece. You can take those or add those from your purchase if you choose to build Sprite. Then you're looking at like $1,000. Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you're saying. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button. See your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.